It's 3:16 a.m. and I'm sitting in my studio apartment, the same shitty apartment. I've been in for 4 years, scrolling through TechCrunch articles about my former boss and the company he built using my idea. My idea. The idea I spent 2 years developing, perfecting, pitching to him in confidence. The company just got acquired for $847 million. He's being called a visionary, an innovator, the next big thing in tech. And I'm here, broke, blacklisted from the industry, watching the man who stole my entire future get rich and famous off my work. My name is Ryan Chen. I'm 31 years old, and 3 years ago, I had an idea that was going to change everything. An idea that should have made me a millionaire by now, maybe more. Instead, I'm barely scraping by, working as a freelance consultant, trying to rebuild a career that was systematically destroyed by the man I once trusted most in my professional life. His name is Marcus Webb. He's 44, charismatic, well-connected in Silicon Valley, and a complete sociopath. And he's about to become one of the richest people in tech, because he stole my startup idea and executed it before I could. I need to tell this story because it's eating me alive, because I see his face everywhere now. Forbes covers, conference keynotes, podcast interviews where he talks about his journey and his vision. Because everyone thinks he's a genius when really, he's just a thief who knew how to steal the right idea from the right person at the right time. Let me start from the beginning, because the manipulation was so subtle, so carefully executed, that I didn't see it happening until it was too late. 4 years ago, I was working as a senior software engineer at a mid-sized tech company called Dataflow Solutions. We did data analytics for enterprise clients. Boring, profitable, stable. I'd been there for 3 years, was good at my job, got solid reviews and decent raises. Marcus was my direct manager. He'd joined the company about 6 months before as our new VP of engineering. He came from a failed startup, his second or third, I learned later, and was brought in to inject some innovation into our department. Everyone loved him immediately. He was charming, gave great presentations, always knew the right thing to say in meetings. He took an interest in me specifically, started having one-on-ones beyond our regular check-ins. Would grab coffee and ask about my career goals, what I wanted to do long-term, if I had any side projects or ideas I was passionate about. I was flattered. Here was this successful guy. He'd sold his first startup for a decent exit, had connections all over the valley, and he was treating me like a peer, like someone worth investing time in. "You're too smart to be stuck doing enterprise data analytics forever," Marcus said one day over coffee. "What do you really want to build?" And like an idiot, I told him. I told him about the idea I'd been working on for the past year, an AI-powered platform for small businesses to optimize their operations. Inventory, scheduling, customer insights, all integrated into one dashboard. Nothing like it existed at a price point small businesses could afford. Enterprise had tons of solutions, but mom and pop shops, restaurants, small retailers, service businesses, they were using spreadsheets and prayer. I'd done the research. The market was massive, over 30 million small businesses in the US alone. Most of them desperate for better tools but priced out of enterprise solutions. I'd built a prototype in my spare time. I had mock-ups, user interviews, a basic MVP that actually worked. I showed Marcus everything. The code, the research, the business model. I even showed him my financial projections. Conservative estimates that had the company hitting $50 million in revenue within 3 years. "This is incredible," Marcus said, his eyes lighting up as he scrolled through my presentation. "Ryan, this could be huge. Why are you still here? You should be raising money for this." "I don't know how," I admitted. "I'm an engineer, not a business guy. I don't have connections with VCs. I don't know how to pitch or raise a seed round. I've been trying to learn, but it's overwhelming." "What if I helped you?" Marcus offered. "I've raised money before. I know VCs. I could introduce you to people, help you refine the pitch, give you advice on the business side. But you have to promise me you'll actually do this. Too many engineers sit on great ideas forever because they're afraid to pull the trigger." I was thrilled. Having Marcus in my corner felt like the lucky break I'd been waiting for. Someone experienced who believed in me and my idea enough to help. That was my first mistake, trusting him. Over the next few months, Marcus became my informal mentor for the startup. We'd meet for coffee every week, sometimes more. I'd show him my progress, new features I'd added to the prototype, user feedback I'd collected, business model refinements. He'd give feedback, suggestions, introductions. "You should talk to my friend at Sequoia," he'd say. "Let me set that up." Or, "Have you thought about pivoting the pricing model this way?" Or, "You know who'd be a great advisor for this? Let me make an intro." He was helping me, or so I thought. Looking back, He was doing two things: learning everything about my idea while positioning himself as essential to its success. About 4 months into our mentorship, Marcus suggested we formalize our relationship. If I'm going to be helping you this much, spending this much time on your startup, I should have some skin in the game. What if I came on as a co-founder? I'd handle all the business stuff, fundraising, partnerships, go-to-market. You focus on product. We split equity 50-50. I hesitated. 50-50 felt like a lot considering it was my idea, my prototype, my research. But Marcus made compelling arguments. He had the connections. He knew how to raise money. He'd done this before. Without him, I'd probably never get the company off the ground. Think of it this way, Marcus said. Would you rather have 100% of nothing or 50% of something huge? Because without someone who knows the business side, you're going to stay stuck in engineer mode forever. Meanwhile, someone else will build a worse version of your idea and beat you to market. That scared me. The idea of someone else building my company, doing it wrong, winning just because they moved faster. Okay, I said. Let's do it. That was my second mistake, agreeing to give away half my company to someone I'd known for less than a year. We shook hands, made plans to formalize everything with legal documents. Marcus said he'd get his lawyer to draw up a co-founder agreement. In the meantime, we started working together more seriously on the business. Marcus had me walk him through every aspect of the technology. The architecture, the algorithms, the data models, everything. I need to understand it deeply to pitch it effectively, he explained. Made sense at the time. He also had me share all my research. Market analysis, competitive landscape, customer interviews, pricing strategy. We need to be aligned on the strategy, he said. I gave him access to everything. The GitHub repo, the Google Drive with all my documents, the Figma designs, the financial models. Complete transparency between co-founders, right? Then things started getting weird. Our meetings became less frequent. Marcus would cancel last minute, saying he was busy with work stuff at Dataflow. The lawyer never sent over the co-founder agreement. Just taking longer than expected, Marcus would say whenever I asked. The VC introductions he'd promised never materialized. Timing isn't quite right yet, he'd say. Let's get the product a bit further along first. Meanwhile, I was working on the startup every evening and weekend, improving the product, talking to potential customers, preparing for the raise that Marcus kept saying was just around the corner. Then, about 6 months into our supposed partnership, Marcus quit Dataflow. He announced it in a company-wide meeting, said he was leaving to pursue a new venture, thanked everyone for their support, made some joke about how he'd finally be able to sleep again. I assumed this was it. He was going full-time on our startup. Finally, we'd have his full attention and things would accelerate. I texted him after the meeting. Congrats on making the leap. When do we officially start? He didn't respond that day, or the next day. When I finally got him on the phone, he was evasive. Listen, Ryan, I've been thinking. I'm not sure the co-founder thing is going to work out. Different visions for the company, different timelines. I think it's better if we go our separate ways. I was stunned. What are you talking about? We've been planning this for months. We never signed anything, Marcus said. We talked about potentially working together, but nothing was formalized. I don't think our working styles are compatible. You should definitely keep building your thing. I'm going to pursue something else. What else? I asked. What are you going to do? I have a few ideas I'm exploring, Marcus said vaguely. Look, no hard feelings. I hope your startup works out. Let's stay in touch. He hung up. And that was it. 6 months of mentorship and co-founding ended with a phone call. I was devastated, but also relieved in a way. At least now I had my idea back. I could move forward on my own, find a different co-founder, figure out the business side myself. That's what I told myself, but something felt wrong. Marcus had been so enthusiastic, so committed. Why the sudden change? 2 months later, I found out. I was on Twitter when I saw a TechCrunch article making the rounds. Marcus Webb raises $5 million seed round for Small Biz AI, an operations platform for small businesses. My heart stopped. Small Biz AI, operations platform for small businesses. I clicked through to read the article, and there it was, my entire idea described in detail. AI-powered operations optimization, integrated dashboard, targeting the underserved small business market. Even the pricing model was similar to what I'd developed. The article quoted Marcus. I've been working on this concept for the past year, really identifying the pain points small businesses face. It's exciting to finally bring this vision to life. The past year, he was claiming he'd been working on it for a year, which meant he'd been developing it the entire time we were supposedly co-founding together. I felt sick. I read through the article multiple times, looking at the screenshots of the product. It was similar to mine, but different enough that he could claim independent development. Different UI, slightly different features, but the core concept, the market positioning, the strategy, it was all mine. I immediately tried calling Marcus, straight to voicemail. I sent emails, texts, LinkedIn messages. Nothing. Finally, 3 days later, I got an email back. Ryan, saw your messages. I understand you're upset, but Small Biz AI is based on my own research and development. Any similarities to ideas we may have discussed are coincidental. The small business operations space is ripe for innovation, so it's natural that multiple people might arrive at similar concepts. I wish you the best with your own ventures. Mark is coincidental. He was claiming our identical ideas were coincidental. I consulted a lawyer, explained the whole situation, the mentorship, the co-founder discussions, how I'd shared everything with him, how he'd raised money for an identical concept. The lawyer asked the obvious question. Do you have any of this in writing? Did you sign an NDA? Is there a contract, emails, anything documenting that you shared this idea with him? We talked in person mostly, I said. Coffee meetings. The co-founder agreement never got signed. What about the GitHub access, the Google Drive? I removed his access after he ended things, but I don't have proof of when he accessed what or what he looked at. The lawyer sighed. This is going to be difficult. Ideas aren't protected by law, execution is. If he built something similar but different enough, and you have no contractual agreement or clear documentation that he stole your code or materials, you don't have much of a case. You could try suing, but it would be expensive, time-consuming, and you'd probably lose. VCs would never fund your version of the idea once they know there's litigation involved. So he just gets away with it? Unfortunately, yes. This happens more often than you'd think in Silicon Valley. It's why you should never share ideas without NDAs. Never give people access to your work without agreements in place, and never trust verbal promises about co-founding or equity. I was destroyed. Completely, utterly destroyed. Marcus had systematically extracted every detail of my idea, strung me along for months to keep me from moving forward on my own, then launched his version with VC backing while leaving me in the dust. But it got worse. I tried to move forward with my own version anyway. I reached out to VCs, started pitching my startup, and I kept hitting the same wall. This sounds a lot like Small Biz AI. Marcus Webb is already doing this with $5 million in backing. Why should we fund you when there's already a well-funded competitor with a head start? Nobody wanted to fund the second player in a market where the first player had Marcus's pedigree and serious backing. I couldn't explain that it was my idea first without sounding bitter or paranoid. And even if I could prove it, what did that matter? Marcus had executed faster. Then the professional damage started. Word got around that I'd tried to pitch an idea that was too similar to Small Biz AI. People started asking questions. Had I copied Marcus? Was I trying to rip off his concept? Marcus was well connected. He'd been in the valley longer than me. He knew how to work his network. And suddenly, my reputation was being quietly destroyed. I'd reach out to potential investors or advisors, and they'd be polite, but distant. I'd apply to startup accelerators and get rejected without explanation. I'd try to network at events, and people would make excuses to end conversations quickly. Finally found out what was happening when a former colleague pulled me aside at a conference. I probably shouldn't tell you this, she said, but Marcus has been telling people you tried to steal his idea. He's saying you worked with him at Dataflow, saw early concepts for Small Biz AI, and then tried to build your own version and claim it was yours first. I was speechless. He'd flipped the entire narrative. Now I was the thief. A bunch of VCs have heard this story, she continued. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's affecting how people see you. I thought you should know. That's when I realized the full extent of what Marcus had done. He hadn't just stolen my idea, he'd poisoned the well. He'd made sure that even if I tried to build my own version, I'd be fighting uphill against a narrative where I was the bad guy. I tried to fight back. I wrote a Medium post laying out the timeline, explaining what really happened. I got about 200 views before taking it down, because my lawyer said it could open me up to a defamation suit. Without hard evidence, it was my word against Marcus's, and he had much better lawyers. I tried reaching out to journalists, thinking maybe I could get someone to investigate. But the story was too murky, too he said, and Marcus was already a rising star in tech. Nobody wanted to take down a promising founder without ironclad proof, so I gave up. I shut down my startup attempt. I couldn't raise money, couldn't hire a team, couldn't compete with someone who had a head start and millions in funding. I stayed at Dataflow for another year, going through the motions, watching from a distance as Small Biz AI grew. They launched publicly. They signed big customers. They raised a Series A, $15 million. Then a Series B, $40 million. Every funding announcement was a knife in the gut. Every article praising Marcus's vision made me want to scream. Every interview where he talked about identifying the market, opportunity, and being passionate about helping small businesses was complete bullshit that only I knew was built on theft. I left Dataflow eventually. Couldn't stand being at the company where it all started. I went freelance doing consulting work. It pays okay, but it's unstable. I'm not building anything meaningful. I'm not working toward anything bigger. I'm just surviving, and Marcus is thriving. Small Biz AI became one of the hot startups in the Valley. They were featured at conferences. They won awards. They grew to over 200 employees. Marcus became a celebrity in tech circles, doing podcast interviews, writing articles about entrepreneurship, speaking at universities about how to build a successful startup. I watched every interview, read every article, torturing myself, looking for some acknowledgement of where the idea really came from. It never came. In one podcast interview, Marcus talked about the origin of Small Biz AI. I was at my previous company, working in enterprise tech, and I just kept thinking, what about the little guys? What about the small businesses that don't have the budget for enterprise solutions? That's when the idea hit me. What if we could build something specifically for them? My idea, my exact reasoning, repackaged as his origin story. In another interview, someone asked him about competition and idea theft in Silicon Valley. Marcus said, "Ideas are cheap. Execution is everything. I've had people try to copy concepts I've developed, and it never works because they don't understand the nuances. The real innovation is in how you build and scale." The irony was so thick I couldn't breathe. 3 weeks ago, the acquisition was announced. A major enterprise software company bought Small Biz AI for $847 million. Marcus's stake, he'd retained about 22% after all the funding rounds, was worth around $186 million. $186 million. From my idea, the announcement was everywhere. Marcus on CNBC talking about the journey. Marcus in the Wall Street Journal, being profiled as a successful founder to watch. Marcus on Twitter, thanking his team and investors and posting inspirational quotes about perseverance. I should have had half of that, or more. It should have been my company, my exit, my vindication. Instead, I'm here, 31 years old, living in a shitty apartment, doing contract work to pay rent, watching the man who stole my future become one of the success stories of Silicon Valley. I've been thinking a lot about what I could have done differently, the mistakes I made that let this happen. Mistake number 1. Sharing everything before having any legal protection. I should have made Marcus sign an NDA before showing him anything. I should have had a lawyer draw up agreements before giving him access to my code and materials. But I trusted him. I thought we were friends, mentor and mentee. I didn't think I needed legal protection. Mistake number 2. Agreeing to 50-50 equity without any vesting or formal agreement. Even if the co-founder relationship was real, I never should have agreed to equal equity without vesting schedules, without cliff periods, without anything in writing. If Marcus was going to get half my company, there should have been legal structures ensuring he actually contributed to earn that half. Mistake number 3. Not documenting our relationship. I should have followed up every meeting with summary emails. I should have kept records of what I shared and when. I should have created a paper trail. But we talked in person over coffee, and I didn't think to create documentation because I trusted him. Mistake number 4. Giving him complete access to everything: the GitHub repo, the Google Drive, all my research. I handed him the keys to everything with no tracking, no protection, no awareness that he might use it against me. I was too trusting, too naive. Mistake number 5. Not moving faster on my own. I let Marcus slow me down. I waited for his VC introductions that never came. I delayed launching because he said the timing wasn't right yet. I should have been moving forward aggressively on my own instead of waiting for his help. Mistake number 6. Not recognizing the red flags, the canceled meetings, the delayed legal documents, the vague promises, the sudden withdrawal. These were all signs that something was wrong, and I ignored them because I wanted to believe in the partnership. I've replayed every conversation, every meeting, every decision, and the conclusion I keep coming to is that I was played, systematically, carefully, deliberately played by someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Marcus is a predator. He finds talented engineers with good ideas but no business experience. He befriends them, gains their trust, extracts every detail of their ideas, then executes before they can. I'm probably not even his first victim. I'm just the most successful theft, the one that made him truly rich. I've tried to find other people he might have done this to. I've reached out to people from his previous companies, tried to find patterns, but either I'm the only one, Or everyone else is too scared or ashamed to talk about it. Just like I've been too scared to really fight back. The shame is almost worse than the financial loss. Shame that I was so naive. Shame that I let myself be manipulated. Shame that I didn't fight harder or smarter. Shame that everyone probably thinks I'm either a liar or an idiot or both. I've thought about revenge. Obsessed over it, honestly. Ways I could expose Marcus. Destroy his reputation. Make him pay for what he did. But I have no proof. No smoking gun. Just a story that makes me look bitter and paranoid. I've thought about starting over with a new idea. But how can I trust anyone again? How can I pitch an idea to a potential co-founder or investor without the paranoia that they'll steal it? Marcus broke something in me. Not just financially, but psychologically. I've thought about leaving tech entirely. Going into a different field where this kind of theft isn't common. Where success isn't built on who can move fastest and ethics be damned. But what would I do? This is all I know. And despite everything, I still love building things. I just hate what the industry has become. My therapist, yes, I'm in therapy now, says I need to find a way to make peace with what happened. That holding on to anger and bitterness is only hurting me. That Marcus will never face consequences. So I need to find a way forward that isn't defined by this betrayal. She's probably right, but I don't know how to make peace with it. Every time I see Marcus's face in an article or a conference photo, every time someone mentions small biz AI, every time I think about what my life could have been, the anger comes flooding back. I'm writing this at 4:30 a.m. now because I can't sleep. Because the acquisition news is everywhere and I can't escape it. Because I needed to tell the story to someone. Even if it's just strangers on the internet who might not even believe me. This is what happens in Silicon Valley when you trust the wrong person. When you're talented but naive. When you have a great idea but no understanding of how ruthless the industry can be. Marcus Webb stole my startup idea and made $186 million. I lost everything. The company, the financial security, years of my life, my reputation, my ability to trust. And the world thinks he's a genius. That's the story nobody writes about. The engineers whose ideas get stolen, whose work gets